All right. Okay. How are you?
I already told you.
You're good. So tell us what's going on in your life right now.
I am part-time pastor at the Wentworth Congregational Church,
Okay, great.
and we are steering our way through all of these prohibitions and cautions and all of that stuff, which most of us think is
Yeah.
can't
It's
be
hard.
bothered with it.
Yeah.
But we're, in order not to be a threat to the rest of the community, we're trying our best to be appropriate. Now, the church building is at the present time, as you know, in the process of major renovation. The granite slabs of the former foundation have shifted so that the building is sticking backwards.
Uh-huh.
It is not cool.
Okay. Dangerous.
Also, we discovered, by the way, we have Grayton as our contractor, which is best.
Nice.
We discovered that the lowest floor had rotted out so badly that we might put our foot through it. Therefore, but let's put it this way, it's been fun to watch all of this. And with my background in construction, I'm just having a ball.
Good. How long have you been doing this Wentworth gig?
This began in March, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, it's not going to get done this year.
Uh-huh.
There's too much that needs to be done and rebuilt. So it will go into next year. But in the meantime, it's the most interesting show in town.
I'll bet. I think I might go up and do an article about that.
Should.
Yeah. But today we're doing an article about you. So, right, so you're keeping yourself busy.
I don't.
So tell me.
The way I spend my time is reading, studying, doing Bible study, reading.
Uh-huh. What are you reading?
Studies and commentaries on the Gospel of Matthew, studies and commentaries on the Gospel of Luke, various and sundry devotionals that come in, which sometimes give me ideas for preaching.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys? You're not meeting at the? Are you doing Zoom?
No.
No, you're actually.
I suppose we should have, but nobody was interested along in March or April when all of that started.
Okay.
So, but since we're going to be without a church building for a while, we may decide to go on. As a matter of fact, tonight is our annual meeting, and I suspect that something will come up.
Okay. And how are you going to have your annual meeting? In person or?
At a member's house.
Okay.
We have, first of all, we're small enough so we could get into the house church.
Mm-hmm.
We have come to really love that.
Yeah, that's the way it all started, right?
Oh, exactly. And it's comfortable. It's collegial, familiar. It feels very nice. I had hoped we would continue, but...
Let's see. So talk to me about Plymouth Area Community Closet. When did you start getting involved with them?
Back in '98, when I first went down here from Canaan and Pittsburgh, I had the two northernmost churches in New Hampshire.
Okay, for Methodist. What? For the Methodist Church?
Yeah.
Or okay, Canaan.
I've been a Methodist for 40 years.
Only 40 years. Okay,
Yeah.
That's fabulous. Yeah.
Well, it has been great. I came to be a Methodist not by a plan or anything, but because that was the church open to me. I was in the Episcopal Church, and it came too soon to be ordained, and I was laughed out of the church. So I went down the street, found another church, and here we go. It happens. I just came too soon.
Mm-hmm.
Episcopal Church wasn't ready
For Margaret
female,
Bickford. Or for
well,
female.
not so much that,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but female pastors.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things. Timing is everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been very happy in the Methodist Church, and I have served 8 churches, mostly in New Hampshire, the New Hampshire Conference, beginning in Methuen and ending in Milan.
I remember that. Yeah.
And right now I'm from the Methodist Church. I'm retired, but then I can pick up other
As
work if
needed.
I want to, which I did.
Right.
So in 2013, I was asked to come and pastor in Wentworth, and we've been at it ever since.
Oh wow, you've been doing that since
Oh, yeah.
13. Okay,
It's
that's
a good
long.
match.
Good, excellent. I'm very glad.
Yes, I am too.
Yeah. Where do you live, Margaret?
West Rumney,
Okay, so it's close,
up on
sort of.
Old 25.
Okay, fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about the Plymouth Area Community Closet. How did you get involved, or what was the beginning like?
1998, I moved down here, and right away I started looking around how to get involved in the community.
Why would
Like
you do
community
that?
oriented.
You think?
Imagine this.
I know.
Community Closet was at that time organizing for their Christmas boxes and their other things, and that sounded good to me, so I went and joined up. I've been with them ever since.
Oh my goodness.
And
Yeah.
it was the holiday food boxes that really was my
Drew
first
you
stop.
in. Okay, that's important for me to hear. Okay.
And boy, that's been a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I've enjoyed it every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then gradually being around more, there was a possibility of somebody, and I forget who, invited me to come on the board and go sit on the board. And I think it's because they needed a representative from Rumney. So I fulfilled a slot.
Yeah.
At that time, it was much more important than it is now to have the communities represented on the board, as well as different in-town churches. Well, we haven't been able to maintain that very well.
Okay.
Most of the time, the people who would serve on the board are too busy doing 5 other things.
Right. It's always the same people doing all the same stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yep.
So it's been a bit, like Topsy and growed, but it has grown. It's been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, this last few months have been an exception. It's really closed us down. This is very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Of the 4 services that we provide, we have had to close the financial aid office because we've had to close the store,
Mm.
and we've had to close Meals for Many, and that's a chunk of services that
That's
we've had
for
to put
sure.
aside.
Right.
What has continued, thanks to our very able pantry chief, is the 2 mornings a week free boxes. And people come and they sign up. Most of that's outdoors, and then the volunteers come from the inside out to people's cars and bring the food.
Mm-hmm.
So we've tried to avoid any crowding, and the contacts that's involved with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's done very well.
Okay. Okay.
So that has helped a lot, but I think most of us who've been with the board for a while really look forward to getting back to normal, thank you,
Yeah.
and doing what we're intended to do.
Which is?
Food,
Mm-hmm.
food, money,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
in a much more comprehensive spread than it is now. There's nothing wrong about giving away food.
Mm-mm.
God knows there are a lot of people out there that,
You bet. It makes a big
but we'd like
difference.
to do more. We'd like to get back to where we could offer more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
so that was the big thing, getting on the holiday food baskets.
Okay, that's what
And
hooked
then
you.
gradually one thing led to another and so on. And while I was at the board, I I was secretary for a while and vice president and president for a number of years, and a volunteer. I don't know, it's coordinated, not exactly. Well, anyway, I was the one that was supposed to look after the volunteers, put on the testimonial dinner in the spring,
Oh,
in
great.
April.
Thank you.
You know.
Thank you to the volunteers. Right.
And have you ever been to that?
I don't remember.
April
I don't-
Volunteer
Yeah, I don't think
Appreciation
so.
Month?
I don't think so.
Well,
Are we-
we'll fix that.
Yeah, we'll have one coming up.
Yeah.
And, yeah, good.
Anyhow, that was an important part, and so there have been a number of different things to do.
And
of
plus,
the
to
board.
keep the heat on, right?
And,
Is that you?
that's kind of fun.
Kind of important too. Kind of amazing, actually. Yeah.
I finally, in the end of last year, I realized that, I mean, I'd been with them, come on, nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
And I said, I think it's about time for me to step aside, let somebody else do it.
Mhm.
Actually, I was getting tired.
Yeah. Well.
And I was also getting deaf, which is one of the realities about being in our
Talk to me.
mid-80s.
Yeah.
And I really
You're in your mid 80s.
I'm 84.
Get out of town, Margaret. Really? Okay. I didn't. Good for you. Good for you.
Upward and onward.
I
That's
guess.
my rallying
Yeah,
cry.
yeah.
No, I've been very lucky over the years not to have been in a serious accident and not to develop a chronic illness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't
So
happen
I've
to
been
many people.
pretty.
Right. And we're lucky that
Oh,
we're
yeah.
lucky that
Oh
that happened.
yes. Oh
You really
yes.
are.
I mean, I've had umps and bumps and so on. In fact, the latest was breaking my left ankle last December, just in time for Christmas.
Oh.
Wasn't
happy,
that dandy?
happy. How did you do that?
I was out backyard and I slipped on a patch of ice. It was like downslope and it's just enough to get you going,
Yeah. Yeah.
and fell very heavily, no grace at all, on my left ankle and leg, and dislocated the whole thing, and it was a mess.
Very painful. Yeah.
But that was 3 months trying to get over that.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't. So anyway, the long story. I had decided at the end of the year to retire, just to step down.
Mm-hmm.
But when I broke my ankle, I said, "Well, that does it."
Yeah. That's like yeah. That makes it really clear.
Uh huh. And that's okay, because I've spent really the last 5 months, 6 months, doing a lot of catch-up studying and reading that I hadn't time to do.
Isn't
before.
that wonderful? Yeah.
And it's like being on vacation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, it's been wonderful. But I had missed PACC,
Yeah.
and they're moving along slowly. They're struggling with the fact they can't serve fully the way they would like to.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And I think, and I'm sure there are many people in the staff or the board or other places and friends of the
So
PACC that miss that.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody. Well, that's true about
Yeah.
all of us in all different aspects of our community. I mean, we're sitting here in the middle of this place, which has always been like the living room of the community. People just,
Yeah.
do what we're doing here, and we can't anymore. We've got these darn masks on.
Well, at
and-
least we have our enforced hiatus.
Yes, and that can be good for some
By
things.
I would hope by
Next year, this
by
time,
the winter we could get back at least
we'll see.
somewhat. And but the
Who's-
the COVID is driving us.
Yes,
It's
it is.
making us unsafe for us to have a public response.
Right,
To have these gatherings, you just can't do it.
right.
So that's really too bad.
So I know that so who's on the board? Do you know who's on the board now? Or you've already stepped
No,
down?
I have stepped down.
Yeah.
and I'm kind of flitting around on the outside, trying to keep track of what they're doing, and they're not doing much right now.
No, none of us are.
No, and everything is sort of on hold.
Right.
But when it gets closer to probably in the fall, they're heading on toward the holiday food baskets. I
We'll
might
pick
be
that
able
up
to step
again.
in and help with that because
So, well, tell
I'm
me.
used to that.
Yeah, I know. How
I've
can you
run
live?
the thing for several years.
Right, but it's hard to let it go when when you step down. It's you gotta.
It's been tough.
Yeah.
It's sort of been a cultural shock for all of us.
Yeah.
So, and in the meantime, I continue a pastorate, which I love very much, and so we keep our hand in one way or t'other.
Yeah. So we're gonna see you. It's not like you're gonna disappear. It's just you're
Well, not
opening
yet.
up space. No, I know you better than that. So yeah, we are gonna see you a lot. So talk to me about, for you, why is the kind of work that you've done at PAC important? What do you get out of it? I mean, why is it important for the community? Which is kind of,
Okay.
you might think it's obvious, but somebody else might not.
Well, let me see if I can
Yeah.
get it. Why is PACC important to the community, to me, or
And
both?
both. One at a time. They're probably different
There are
answers.
always people, even in small communities, who are in need of something. More so, the bigger the community, more of these folks. And there, but for the grace of God, go every one of us. So therefore, it is good for us, spiritually and socially, to be aware of the needs and respond to them. We've been in business for 65 years, nearly 70 years.
Really? Wow. Okay.
It was the middle of the last century.
Wow. That's a
When that was
amazing thing
started
to
by
say.
a woman out in, I think, Rumney. But anyway, whose name I forgot. I'm sorry. But she became aware of needy people in her community and said, I got to do something about it. So the first thing she did was to set up a clothes, free clothes pantry. And that caught on well, and then one thing added to another, and next thing you know, you're not only into clothes, but you're into food. And that was necessary, and along with that, of course, became the awareness that some people weren't making the bills. And there was no other resource during those times, and I'm thinking along in the 70s and so on in there. There wasn't another charitable resource outside of some of the churches. Some couldn't, but some could. And we felt that, we being the board, felt there's a huge need there, and there's a huge gap, and we need to do something. So the work at the thrift shop became essential, the principal support for not only the food, we had to buy the food from the
Food bank.
Manchester Food Bank,
Yeah.
but also for financial assistance. And that's one of the reasons why these days it's so frustrating, because we don't have any income.
Because the thrift shop is closed. Do you get donations, other donations from the churches or the communities?
We can't. Well, now, are you talking about clothes, food, or
No,
money,
financial
or what?
assistance
All of
for
the
people.
above.
All of the above, but the clothes and food we understand. But financial assistance for people who need it.
Financial assistance comes trickling in. We do not have a steady. What's the word I want? Benefactor, whatever.
Yep.
But each year for quite a while, The New Hampshire Electric Co-op has the foundation that they
Yes.
have
Mhm.
has come through with a nice grant.
Good, good.
But they're really the only one that is, steady,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and that's been wonderful for us.
Good. And plus you have the Keep the Heat on Dinner, which is for the fuel assistance, right?
Well, the Keep the Heat On, of course, is a Democrats
Right.
project, and they've done a wonderful job. It's just amazing. PACC is very blessed to have been benefited,
By
have
them.
been helped
Right.
by that, because they give us nearly $50,000 a year
Yeah.
to give away,
It's crazy. It's great. It's just amazing.
and
Yeah.
we don't have a donor like that.
Right, right. Well, and that is the whole community coming together to do that. It may
And
be
they do
organized.
it
but-
well. It's not only a lot of fun, but it's good for us to once again be aware that our neighbors need us.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And be
This
able
is
to do
not
something.
just an exercise in feel good.
Uh-huh. It
for the
actually,
no,
right.
it goes beyond that.
yeah.
And I have to say, I for one have been very aware of um, and working on behalf of that kind of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Our neighbors are important to us,
Love it. Yeah.
and we can't walk by them.
Mm-hmm.
So Community Closet has done the best they can, in good times and bad,
Mm-hmm.
to meet the needs as they see it. Now, the things that we can't do, maybe someday we'll get into some additional services, but for now, it's all we can do to handle those four.
Absolutely.
four
It's
seasons.
huge. It's a
Yeah.
huge.
Well, I'm proud of what the group, the staff, the volunteers.
Uh-huh.
They've done a huge job.
Yeah. And why is this important to you personally, this work that you've
Because
done?
I'm a neighbor too. I know not only personally, but as a community and as a whole society, how important compassion and generosity are. Keeps us human. And the Lord wants us to do that. He wants us to grow in all those possibilities. If we just sit here and eat out and chit chat around the table and do all of that self-serving, the neighbors are not going to be helped, and neither are we.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm very aware that unless people are generous, and first of all, they have to be aware that there are people out there that need, then they need to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And that is extremely important
Mm-hmm.
to our own spiritual health.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I've just been part of the team.
Mm-hmm. You've been more than part of the team. I think your colleagues want to make sure people know how much you've done over the years. So,
It's been fun.
yeah, good. Do you have a favorite memory, or
I'm sorry.
do you have a favorite memory of your time there?
You'll laugh at this. What's his name? Stott, the real estate guy?
King? No.
I can't think of
Yeah.
his first name.
Okay. Oh, it's first name.
First name. Yeah. Well, anyway, one of the in the live auction toward the end of Keep the Heat On Dinner, they had the auction. He offered an airplane ride in his plane
Oh.
for the highest bidder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I said, oh, that I gotta do. Because I'm really nuts on flying. I thought, if I had time, I would get my pilot's license.
Get out.
No.
That's not something I would ever want to do, but that does not actually surprise me now.
You
that I
don't like
think
to be up there when I like being up there.
Yeah, seeing it.
But anyway, I remember flying with him, and it was so great. When he offered it again the next year, I bid on that.
Again?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's great.
And that was just wonderful. Now, that really wasn't PACC directly.
No, but
It was a byproduct of the fundraising.
right.
But that's why I giggled so. In it.
A wonderful experience. Yeah.
Yes, it was. Another thing that comes to my mind is working with and knowing Mimi Ford.
Oh, we should say something about Mimi. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mimi Ford was gifted and remarkable and very intelligent too, and a good organizer.
Mm-hmm.
She ran the financial aid office for years.
Mm-hmm.
For several years, she ran the Holiday Food Baskets project.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I learned from her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just a wonderful, swell person. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed knowing Mimi. So when she finally failed and is now going on to her reward,
Mm-hmm.
I said, now there goes a woman who has made her mark in this community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I
really
always
great.
thought her as sort of like a model,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
uh,
So
kind
what?
of a mentor.
Yeah. Okay. So, how have you seen things change here in the Plymouth area over the course of the time that you've been here for 20 years? Do you think the young people coming up are as committed to this kind of thing as you have been?
I think most of the young people we have here are busy growing up.
That's true.
They're into lots of sports and extracurriculars, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're concentrating on, getting the
Career.
marks they need to get into college. And that's fine. That's the part where they are in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few who look beyond those usual necessities,
Mm-hmm.
and they have helped it out as volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
I think of the National Honor Society group
Oh, yeah, that's
who
important to
comes
say.
and
Mm-hmm.
helps us pack.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one. And all the scout troops and the other groups that have raised money for us or done food collections for us. So there's an awareness among the rising generation that this is a good thing and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives them a sense of being helpful within, which is something they don't get from anything else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. That's true.
So it is a growth and teaching experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that happening here and there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a minority, but
Mm-hmm.
they're there.
Yep. Yep.
And I look forward, I won't know them personally, but I look forward to them making their mark in turn
Mm-hmm.
when they get
Watching.
into like the middle generation that does all the work.
Yeah, the middle generation. Yeah. Yeah, actually, it's the retired people who seem to do all the work around here. When somebody in New Hampshire tells me they're retiring, then I go, uh-oh, stand back. So they're going to do their thing, right?
Ultimately,
Yeah, yeah.
we all go through, but oh, sweet.
Yeah.
How sweet. Thank you for
Look at
carrying
that.
your kiddo around. Is it a her or a him?
It's a boy. His name's Carver.
Hi, sweet. Oh, look at the
Look at that red hair. I
hair.
know, blue eyes.
Oh, he's
Yes.
going to be a knockout.
Yeah.
His daddy is. So.
That's great.
I have great hopes for the rising generation. They have to live through some tough times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This pandemic is just one.
Right.
They remember the ones that one generation ago that had to live through
9/11.
Vietnam,
Yep.
foolishness, and all the other wars. I mean, it looked like there was never going to be an end to war. It was
Right.
one darn thing after another
Right.
in the 20th century.
Uh-huh.
And they had to live through all that, and some of them were in uniform.
Right. right.
So they've learned a lot, whether they've wanted to or not.
Mm-hmm.
But they've gotten a really up close and occasionally painful
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of their world.
Mm-hmm.
But I would hope that that would merely inspire them to go beyond that and do something about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, nobody. It feels like nobody's defeated. It hasn't defeated us. It has made us stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That this is not, life is not just observing and learning, it's responding.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Otherwise, we're just riding.
Mm-hmm.
So you can quote that.
Okay.
That sounds
I
rather
got a
good,
lot.
doesn't it?
It does, and I've got a lot of good quotes from you. But yeah.
The other thing that something you can quote if you want is my current what's the word I want? Motto, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah. Slogan.
Upward and onward.
You know, that's really funny you should say that because mine has been onward and forward for a
Well,
long
there you
time.
go.
Yes, we're on the same
We're in the
wavelength.
same parade,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Just keep going.
but it's indicating that life is not just a ride.
No,
Life is not going to be fully life unless you get in there and do your part.
right, right. And boy, have you ever. So, yeah, that's wonderful.
So anyway, do you have enough material?
I have plenty of material, and I'm going to talk to a few other people. I'm going to see if the picture I took looks good. If it doesn't, I think we
Oh.
might come up with some other pictures. Maybe I'd
Or
like
I
to.
can- I can
or
send
you
you
can
one.
send one that you
The
really
one that
like.
I have is not current.
Okay, that doesn't matter. You've been doing this for.
20 years ago, I was better looking.
I don't know. You know
Well,
what's
it's
really
nice
funny?
of you to say
so
that, but
I met you in 2006,
Yeah.
and you look exactly the same now
Really?
as you did in 2006. So how
God
you did
is
that?
good.
I know. You haven't changed a bit. And every time I see you and out there, you
Yeah.
know, run into you in the community, you always have this flair. It's not just, you know, you have this look about you. It's very
Life, I have been blessed. Life is still fun.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people out there for
Oh.
for whom life is not fun.
That's true. That's true.
It's a burden.
Right, right.
So I've been blessed.
Yes, you have. Right. And we've been
So
blessed,
if
too.
I'm occasionally spunky and so on, as long as it doesn't offend anybody, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Another word I like is zest.
Mm-hmm.
Zest.
Mm-hmm. I love that zest.
Yeah,
Hey, you got
we're
it.
agreed.
All right. All right, I'm going to unrecord us